So I'm gonna finish my reviews on this. I said originally I'd do 3 reviews, and and I only did the one, and it's been a couple months now. So now that I have scuffed it a couple times, this should come off.
I'm your biggest fan forever.
Okay. So, anyways, I mentioned a few problems in my first review, and most of those have been solved. One of the issues I mentioned was the flap in the back being difficult to open, and after owning it for some time, it's pretty easy. There's 2 things you gotta do. One is you gotta have it backwards so that it's facing you like this when you open it. And 2 is it kind of breaks in after a while. So once it's been broken in, it's a lot easier to open. The second thing I mentioned, what else did I mention? I think I mentioned something about the Bluetooth having a tricky time, but overall, after using it for a while, it seems to be pretty much just bonded to my phone, and it doesn't let other phones come in. The other solution to that I had was I changed the name. You can go into the JBL settings on the app, and you can change the name of the speaker. You can actually change the name to whatever you want. I changed mine to Samsung TV so that people would not recognize it on their phone. They wouldn't see JBL Boombox or anything JBL, so they wouldn't think of how to bond their phone to it. So that, or pair it or whatever. So that worked out well. It's nice because I wound up buying one of these. Didn't think I was going to because it's not that necessary, but after having one, it's really cool. I'm glad I did because it's good to know that the Connect feature works, but it doesn't work perfectly. There's 2 issues. One is if you have both bonded to your phone will pick between those 2 once in a while as being the primary communication. And the problem with that is it causes a little bit of a glitch in the sound, which even when you take the pairing off so that it's just paired to one device, that glitch gets a lot better and it doesn't happen as much, but it still winds up happening. I'm not sure exactly why that happens. I think it's because the Charge 3 is not originally designed with Connect Plus. As you can see here, this is just Connect. They wound up giving it an update, which they didn't do with the Extreme one. They didn't do with their other speakers because they don't have the physical capability, which means they put something in this with the idea of an expansion later, and then they wound up not with just a little expansion like to 5 or 6, but an expansion to 100. Because of that, whatever expansion capabilities this has are probably not complete. My guess is that this will only work with a total of maybe 20 or so. I don't think it really has capacity beyond that. The other thing is there's a 7-second delay in the music, which when you take your phone, and I have it only connected to the boombox and they're both on the Connect, it reduces that to about 5 seconds or less. And also it seems like that's on YouTube and on a couple other apps. When it starts streaming, the app itself seems to run better, like on Spotify, but not on SoundCloud. On Spotify, it doesn't play through the boombox. There's still a 5 or 6 second delay, but it doesn't play in the boombox until both are ready to play, and then it lets them both play, which is weird. And the other thing is, I know that it doesn't have to be that long of a delay because it responds to volume input sooner, like almost immediately, like within half a second. And I can also play with the Connect Plus on. I can play video games, so I don't really understand where that 7-second delay is coming from. If it's just too much extra information and needs time to process, I don't really know. So that's kind of annoying. The other thing I didn't know is that you cannot take 2 different speakers and pair them left and right. They have to be the same speaker if you want left and right functionality, which is stupid and silly, and there's no reason for that. They should have made it so that you can just do it, even though it's not going to sound ideal or whatever. Also, on that note, the Connect Plus seems to have a little bit of a volume awareness, or speaker awareness, I should say, because this, the boombox gets much louder than this does, but this volume seems to be on the charge. The volume seems to be upped sooner so that its volume can compete with the boombox. And the funny thing is that low level volumes, the boombox is so much quieter than this that it becomes overshadowed. And if you did what I said, which is connect to the boombox and then do the connect JBL feature to get these two connected together, then what you can do is you can turn the volume down on the charge, and it solves that problem. And then at higher volumes you can turn the volume back up. The only issue with that is each song you hear, the next track will start a new stream and the volume will be restored to what it was before, which is complicated, and it kind of complicates how you use these. I recommend, if you're going to use Connect Plus all the time, that you have at least 30 minutes or an hour long to each song by using some sort of mix. Perhaps downloading your music and then taking all your downloaded music and scrunching it onto the same file on a computer, then putting it back on your phone or whatever. That way, once it starts streaming, it'll just continue to stream and it doesn't have to reset every time, because that 7-second delay also happens with every single new track. So, except for, like I said, certain apps automatically link the music up in a way that allows you to continue to stream it normally, which is awesome. YouTube seems to do that, for example. The only issue is YouTube has ads, but YouTube Red probably is a little bit smoother, and when there's no ads, hopefully it will smoothly relay it. I think if you did a free trial, maybe if I do a free trial of that, I'll figure out whether or not that works. So that's it. The initial Connect Plus bonding doesn't take too much time. It usually happens in less than 10 seconds. So yeah, and any other issues I had with the boombox have been resolved. I'm not sure what else I said in my first review because I didn't listen to it again, but it's definitely not a problem. The battery life on this really is ridiculous. It's let's see where it's at now. It's finally down to 2. So I haven't charged this thing in a couple of weeks, and it still has 2 out of its 5 bars. So I've never gotten this thing down to 1 bar of battery life. So the max battery life is ridiculous. Now there is a small complication where when it gets down to 2 or 3 bars, and when it's connected to your phone but not playing music, there's a faint small buzz, which I can't hear right now, so it's temperamental, and it doesn't start until 3 bars of battery life, and I don't know why it starts. The first 2 bars it has 0 issues, and it's faint enough that for the use that I intend this thing with, I don't really ever notice it enough. But if you're going to use this large of a speaker for really low volume stuff, which is weird, and you're going to do that low volume for such a long time, for so many days in a row, that you somehow drain your battery down that far anyways, there might be a tiny issue for you. The brand newer speakers seem to have resolved that issue, according to JBL. Who really knows? And in general, I just think that the thing is, since it can charge things, all right, it even has the 2 ports. It has 2 charging ports. So you can play music loudly, like close to its max volume or at its max volume, and you can charge, like let's say you've these 2 charges. So you have 2 of these. You can charge both of those speakers on the USB, and still you should have plenty of battery life to continue to play your music. That's what's good. And the other thing is, you can even have like one of these speakers and then charge it and your phone, if your phone runs out of power too. So those are really good features, I feel like. The ridiculous battery life of the boombox really helps if you need to charge things too. I've noticed that. I've only used it to charge things a couple of times, and both times I didn't even see the effect of the charge. It fully charged my phone without even one bar of its 5 bars going down. It does seem to be exponential though, like the first bar, battery life takes more time to go down than the second bar, and then the third and the third and the fourth bars go down faster. But it's not too heavily weighted because it still takes a very, very long time to get it even down to 2 or 1 bar. So it's not that big of a problem with this guy. On this, I have drained this guy a couple times. Both times playing at max volume for a very long time, because this isn't nearly as loud. The boombox is so loud that it hurts your ears after maybe 2 hours or so. And that's with it not in close proximity, like not right in front of you indoors. We're talking outdoors, and stuff like that. So it's not, it's not gonna do your ears any good to have the boombox on for a really long time. In other words, it's strong enough with volume that you don't need the battery life because you'll kill your ears anyways. But that does help it out a lot in day-to-day stuff. Not having to charge it for several days or a week in a row is also kind of nice. So that about wraps it up for my boombox reviews for now. I'll do a longer term review later. I never hurt these surrounds. I don't think they're normal rubber. I think there's something special because they haven't been hurt at all. And there's nothing else that seems to be wrong with it. It doesn't have many dings. It's got a couple little dings right there, right in here, but that's about it. This soft kind of, not exactly rubber, but whatever this is exactly, really takes the impact off when it hits stuff. And of course the bottom is not just the plastic, it's this rubber stuff on the very bottom foot, which also protects the bottom from getting scratched. And instead of having like 4 little rubber feet that break off like Sony's and other stuff, it's just one solid big one. So, which doesn't do too well on your shoulder, but it does well for the speaker. So I'm impressed with the durability. This whatever fabric this is great. It's got no cuts. My cat has scratched it a few times, but you can't even tell, And when it gets dirty, you can just wash it. I do wish they made it in other colors though. It'd be cool to have one of them in that and the camo. So they don't do that yet, but that's about it. Also, the buttons are way easier to press on the boombox than they are or way harder to press on the boombox than they are on these guys. Like this is like really sensitive, whereas this you really have to push down, which is fine. It doesn't really affect anything. I guess it's just a point to note. So, and the light here is so bright. I think it's really bright so that you can see it on easily outside, but that bothers me at night when I try to play it because it literally lights the whole room up blue, which is crazy. But that's that. So have a good one. The sound quality also, I might do another review for just the sound quality focused on that, but basically the sound quality is much better when you get used to it. And whenever it's not good for a song, if you change it from indoor to outdoor mode, it'll be better. So it really doesn't have any hiccups or any issues. So it also plays really well with the charge. The sound quality balances out where it has holes and gaps. So that's about it.